we take away wins, so we're talking about teams like Joe Burrow, who just has no defense whatsoever, has to throw 90 times a game. I think it's a bit of a ridiculous thing to say is to take away wins, and because that's not like that's not a stat. I would think fourth quarter comebacks. Like I saw a stat the other day from Sharp Analytics that talked about going into the fourth quarter, quarterbacks who are down and of current quarterbacks, and Mahomes is 14-7. And I don't think there was any other quarterbacks that was even that had a winning record even close to that. And I think that, talk about a guy having ice in his veins, and kind of echoing what Tom Brady said on Joe Klatt's show, that, Pat's one of those guys. He's one of one right now who, you can't have a no lead is safe with playing against him. And I think that says a lot of the story, but taking away wins from a quarterback, I think I don't know. I think that's silly. And then we're going to look at guys like Baker Mayfield and Joe Burrow as guys who have this great numbers because their defense blows, and they have to throw it 90 times a game. So,
well, James, what about you?
I mean, it's kind of crazy to say taking away wins and not saying like that guy is not one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, he is literally the GOAT right now in the league because he's had so many appearances to the Super Bowl already. I mean, the guy's an absolute stud. Stats are great and everything, but wins are what really matters at that point. And, if I was to go to another quarterback that I think is really, really good, obviously I'd love to say Justin Herbert. I think he's a phenomenal quarterback, but he's still got a lot to prove, in my opinion, especially in the playoffs. I would probably go to like Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen's an absolute stud as a quarterback too. That guy's actually had some pretty good runs through the playoffs. He's gotten pretty deep in the playoffs. I think he takes the team and puts them on his back. I can't remember which year it was, but it was a Chiefs-Bills game in the playoffs. I want to say it was 2021 or 2022. And if you review that game, I mean, it was electric. I was coming back from a flight, I think, overseas, and I was watching that game, and it was an absolute electric game. When he needed to make a play, he made a play. And I love seeing that as out of a quarterback. And I think Josh Allen would be one of those guys. But, that's one guy I'd throw out there. In my opinion, I would say Josh Allen would be my guy. Yep.
That's fair. What about you, Ryan? Taking out quarterback stats, same team for all quarterbacks. Do you think Patrick Mahomes is still the best in the league, or is there another quarterback that you think is better than him?
I'd want to say Josh Allen, but I think my view of him is kind of skewed, not because of him, but because of his circumstances. Like you guys mentioned about having Sean McDermott as his head coach, kind of being restrained with a defensive coach as your head coach. So I think he's definitely grown a lot more in the past couple of years in terms of not putting the ball at risk as much, because I really was kind of low on him probably 2 years ago because he would just throw so many picks. And you saw that in that crazy game in the winter against us where he threw like 2 or 3 picks or something. And then we won on a field goal after they had 12 guys on the field. But ultimately, I'd say Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is just absolutely surgical. He's the one. He's done what Josh Allen has not been able to do. Is that because he has an offensive coach? Maybe. But ultimately, he's gone to the Super Bowl. He's beaten Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. He beat him twice that season. And he did have a much better defense. And obviously, the Bengals' performance, his stats are kind of getting padded because he's got to throw the ball so much because his defense is just atrocious. But, I mean, what else do you want him to do? Like, he could throw it and things not go well, but he was able to almost get them in the playoffs last year. Unfortunately, it wasn't up to him anymore, or up to the Bengals at the end of the season because of the record and what happened earlier in the season. But he's just done what Josh Allen hasn't been able to do. And for that, and this is, of course, regardless of wins, like Jack asking the question, I'd still take Joe Burrow. I'd take him on my team. That's probably like the one quarterback. Josh Allen, there's just still some parts that I need to see more. Maybe if you swap Joe Burrow, or you put both, let's say you put Joe Burrow and Josh Allen on the Chiefs, see what they do. I think that's the only way you could ultimately tell. You put them in the same situation and see what they do, just because they currently are in two completely different situations.
Well, first and foremost, I'll say that, of course, I hate Patrick Mahomes. But, like I think all of us do in the AFC West, we got hate for Patrick Mahomes because just like Tom Brady, he continues to win a lot, whether, it's referees or whatever it may be. But, I feel like taking away the wins is kind of like taking away what's the best part of Patrick Mahomes. And I hate to give him credit, though, but he definitely is, this generation's, I guess, quote unquote, GOAT. But I feel like what Jake was probably, or Jack, whatever, was trying to ask, I guess, is when you take away the wins, it's more of like what quarterback skill set, like, like to their skill sets the best, right? And if you do take away the wins, yes, Patrick Mahomes is definitely one of the better quarterbacks. But if I'm looking at skill sets, I'm surprised nobody even brought up. But to me, I feel like Lamar Jackson's skill set as a quarterback, like, is bar none, like one of the best, like especially as a dual threat quarterback that can do it all. Of course, he hasn't won as much, but the Ravens are always right there in the hunt, doing great and whatnot. So if I had to pick a quarterback that I feel like just for their skill set alone, not just looking at the winning and all of that, it'd definitely be like Lamar Jackson.